I've seen Stardew players try some insane mods that can really shake up the game, but what I find more interesting than any mod is playing the game vanilla with a twist. Today I'll be covering the top 10 Stardew Valley challenges that you can attempt in your base game. Huge thanks to all the creators showcased here. Make sure to check out this playlist with all their full challenge videos. It should go without saying that the rankings are based on my opinion, and if you disagree, you're wrong. And I challenge you to a duel in the comments. When you're restricted to the bounds of your own farm, there's unfortunately not a whole lot to do other than try to make a bunch of money. This does pose quite a unique challenge of finding mixed seeds from fiber to reach farming level 9 in order to craft a seed maker, then processing crops until an ancient seed is found, then voila, you're basically done with the challenge, just grow a bunch of ancient fruit. At first, you might think the beach farm is a good choice thanks to the supply crates, but it is not a good long-term solution due to having no ores for sprinklers. D-Pad Gamer attempted this challenge on the Four Corners farm, which is probably the best farm for this challenge with a good amount of open space for growing, plus a mini quarry for crafting sprinklers. D-Pad was able to make over 1 million gold by year 7 off of ancient fruit, which is quite the impressive grind. For a future twist on this challenge, I think it'd be interesting to see just how much money can be made during year 1 as opposed to extending this challenge out indefinitely. While I believe every challenge I've placed on this list is exciting and unique in their own way, and every creator did an outstanding job with their respective challenge, one had to sit at the bottom. I placed this one here due to the simple fact that you can't really do much past growing a bunch of ancient fruit, getting paid, and never getting laid because you're too afraid to leave the safety of your own farm. How the heck are we supposed to complete the community center without ever earning gold? I mean, there's the vault bundle, right? Well, if we omit the vault bundle, we can still have an interesting challenge to see just how much of the community center can be completed without ever earning gold. Before Sample even attempts this challenge, they realized remixed bundles will save the day by omitting some of the bundles that require money, mainly ones needing animal products. The boiler's room and fish tank are pretty straightforward, and the crafts room can be completed with a chair skip to the secret woods to acquire a mahogany seed to grow for hardwood. The real challenge lies with the pantry and bulletin board, mainly due to the crops. While many crops can be grown via mixed seeds, there are just some that can't, and this is when Sample needs to start allocating some of that 500 starting gold to buy seeds. Unfortunately, Sample quickly runs out of starting gold, but is able to bring in a friend to steal their money and finish up both the pantry and bulletin board without ever earning profit. I do believe there's potential for a more optimized run to see just how little of the starting gold is required for victory, perhaps done in single player, besides the vault of course. And that's partly why I placed this challenge at number 9, since it's a super interesting concept but likely impossible due to that darn vault. But it will be interesting to see the changes in 1.6 and a possibility of Concerned Ape adding a greater variety of remixed bundles, which might just make this challenge possible. Come on, Concerned Ape, we need the Gambler and Carnival bundles. Pretty please. Almost every action in Stardew gains you experience points, so at first completing the community center without leveling up seems impossible, but this is where wording comes into play. By this definition, we are allowed 99 XP from each skill and just can't cross that threshold or else we will level up. What makes this challenge doable is the ability to receive gifts from NPCs, the wide variety of stock offered from the traveling cart, and even hoping for certain gifts from the Feast of the Winter Star. However, there are some straggler items that require a careful allocation of experience points. Similar to the previous challenge, Argon Matrix uses a player 2 for some extra XP that can be allocated to gaining some of the last items required. The challenge may have been impossible otherwise, but it would be interesting to see if there is any other way to finish this challenge in single player. Some of these challenges may have hard limits and are impossible to finish, but there are some persistent players that are always finding new shenanigans to tackle challenges like this one, so I'd love to see this one attempted again. When attempting the no crafting challenge, the first thing you'll learn is Stardew is very hard without chests. Yup, you aren't allowed to even craft chests. So when Habu attempted this challenge, his first goal was extra inventory space, and shortly after the house upgrade in order to capitalize on fridge space. It's quite straightforward to obtain most items. The most interesting one might just be the wine, which requires a keg from the artisan bundle, but besides that, the free machines from bundles aren't too important. Also, not being able to craft sprinklers didn't really add much to this challenge, but just added to the grind as Habu was forced to manually water crops every day. I think the hardest part of this challenge was definitely the inventory management, but a lot of it seemed just down to grinding. Although Habu completed this challenge in under 6 hours, I believe it would be more interesting to see this challenge attempted in as few in-game days as possible. More careful allocation of time and energy to see if this could be accomplished in an in-game year could be an interesting challenge. I placed this one slightly higher than the others due to the clear completable goal without bringing in friends. If I don't have any, why should others? Gaining enough skill XP to reach level 10 in a single day might first seem impossible, but with some careful planning and preparation, these feats are possible. The challenge began in the hands of Stardew, who was able to tackle 3 out of the 5 skills. Farming was easy, just plant a bunch of rare seeds and harvest them all at once to hit level 10. Mining was a bit trickier, but by completing the vault to unlock the desert and a free crystallarium, then replicating the jade for infinite staircases, the skull key can be obtained without ever gaining XP. Shawnee can skip past down floor 100 of Skull Cavern and begin laying down lots of bombs to grind lots of iridium and gain enough XP for level 10 before the end of the day. Finally, foraging seemed tricky at first, as there is not enough time in the day to cut down trees and you don't get forage seeds until leveling up that skill. Not even filling the farm with pigs for truffles gives enough XP. The solution turned out to be quite simple, however. Although you can't craft forage seeds, you can gain winter forage by tilling in winter and turn them into seeds without gaining XP, which allows you to build up an infinite amount of winter seeds to plant and grow to reach level 10 on harvest day. Now believing combat and fishing were impossible, Shawnee handed the challenge over to Blade. For fishing XP, he began by setting up an insane amount of fish ponds on the farm and completing quests and harvesting the roe for XP, then fishing for the rest of the day to hit level 10. Blade was also able to reach combat level 10 quickly by having kids, turning them into doves, viewing the sinister signal channel, and finally slaying them over and over again until maxing out his XP. There's not really much to improve on this challenge. It's a great example of meticulous planning to maximize Stardew's in-game time, and the following challenges will begin to involve more and more planning. Achieving 100% perfection in Stardew is an impressive accomplishment in itself. Now, imagine attempting this feat in the shortest possible number of in-game days. This would normally be 2 years due to the final cooking recipe only accessible on the final day. However, Habu was able to elevate this challenge to the next level. By sleeping an entire year and starting this challenge on Spring 2, it is possible to achieve perfection in a single year of Stardew. Year 2 unlocks my favorite item, Kent, and still gives access to every Queen of Sauce recipe thanks to the reruns. However, the player has to deal with Year 2 prices and the inability to unlock secret notes until winter. The most impressive part of this challenge is just how much planning must have gone into it. The basic early strategy was very min-max-esque in terms of clay farming, void spirit farming, and unlocking the bus to make tons of money from Skull Cavern dives, and using that money to buy out Joja and unlock Ginger Island to grow tons of starfruit there and keg it for wine to make over 13 million gold to afford the gold clock and obelisk. Where the real challenge comes in is while Habu is doing all of this, he still needs to consider the other perfection goals. While spring is all about min-maxing, starting in summer he has to gift NPCs every week, catch the unique seasonal fish, and make sure to gather every ingredient for the unique cooking and crafting recipes. On top of that, he had monster slaying goals, the museum collection, and obtaining every walnut at the island. It'd be cool to see this challenge attempted again, but going down the community center route as opposed to Joja. It might not even be possible, but who knows, with some extremely careful planning and likely choosing a very specific game seed to get some lucky traveling cart items, it might just be possible. Unlike you giving this video a like and subscribing, that is certainty. Embarking on the challenge of catching every fish in a single day combines intricate planning, statistical analysis, and fishing skill. While it's obvious magic bait is a necessity, it's much less clear what season and day to play on and which fishing spots to visit. After looking closely at every fish's condition, Argon decided that winter night market was the best time to attempt this challenge. The complexity to such a straightforward goal is insane. Intricate planning was required for a route, optimizing fish schedules, and also for choosing a seed with well-placed bubbles. And after many attempts, Argon began to know early on if a run was set up to succeed or not to save real life time and energy. It's also crazy how well Argon was able to maximize their statistical odds of catching certain fish in certain places and even choosing between wild bait or magic bait in some cases. And finally, Argon had an extraordinary level of determination to keep attempting this challenge over and over, past 500 attempts in order to finally catch every fish in one day. I could talk about this challenge forever, but I highly recommend giving Argon's video a watch for yourself if you haven't yet. It's amazingly edited, it's practically a movie. A spin on this challenge, and one I would like to attempt myself, is catching every fish in the least amount of in-game days. I believe this would be possible first month following a basic min-max route to unlock Joja and Ginger Island early for magic bait, but I guess we won't know until I give it a go. Rooming with Krobus as early as possible is an absolutely insane challenge still in the works by Blade. The first day alone is absolutely bonkers as it requires unlocking the sewer, which is done by donating 60 minerals and artifacts. This is accomplished by using out-of-bounds glitches to get into the mines day 1 and farm geodes for most of the artifacts. However, transporting everything poses a challenge. Blade creates a unique juggling system to effectively transport way more than the default inventory space would ever let you by constantly throwing items in front of him and moving ever so slightly towards the destination and repeating this over and over. Blade was successfully able to donate 60 items, which will give him the rusty key the next day and allow him to access the sewer. This run is a work in progress, so I'm not sure what shenanigans will follow in ruin Krobus, but since wild horseradish spawns in spring, I bet Blade will be trying to get his foraging level up to get high qualities of those. All of the insane strategies that go into this run and the fact that donating items in a single day was just part of the run is what puts this at spot number 3. I'm excited to see where this run goes. I'm guessing the rest will play out similar to Blade's past marriage challenges. Speaking of those, now might be a good time to list some of the honorable mentions. I was planning for an honorable mention section here, but realized we can accomplish the same result by taking a peruse through Blade's channel. This challenge is a bit tricky to rank, as if you really think about it, anyone can easily grind out an entire stack of items, right? Wrong. This is where real-life willpower and determination come to play. Other challenges thus far have been all about in-game planning and problem solving, which are traits commonly associated with challenges, while obtaining a stack of every single item in Stardew does not only require an insane amount of persistence, but it also requires careful strategizing. Like, how the heck did Algorithm manage to collect 999 galaxy souls, or 999 of each fish, plus their roe, plus their aged roe, or even the tea set? While this challenge is still a work in progress, Algorithm has clearly demonstrated their commitment to this grind and plans to keep going until every stack of item has been obtained. Definitely check out one of Algorithm's streams to experience that insanity firsthand. The extreme length of this challenge combined with Algorithm's commitment places this one at spot number 2. The only thing holding it back from the top is not having a time restriction, and you know I love my time restrictions. The number 1 spot should be a challenge that requires more real-life time spent planning to carefully calculate what should be done in each individual day. A challenge that requires both intricate planning combined with real-life persistence. A challenge where one spends over 10 hours getting a single day of Stardew just right. While not necessarily the most unique concept, a pure min-max run sits at my number 1 challenge. And I'm not just talking about making any old grand amount of money, I am talking about from the very first day playing each and every following day to absolute perfection with the goal of making the most amount of money at the end of year 1. I know for many, RNG manipulation isn't the most appealing thing and kinda confusing, but for a challenge like this, it's absolutely necessary. Many creators including Habu, Cordite, and Blade have all contributed valuable runs and knowledge to this challenge, but the most inspiring of all right now is Piano Addict, who aims to hold 100 million gold in pocket at the end of year 1. That's right, not total profit, 100 million gold in hand. How the heck is this even possible? Well, with very intricate planning and restarting days until near perfection is reached, Piano has set up their run for success. Again, I'm not here to talk about the nitty-gritty of each run, so you should definitely pop in a Piano stream sometime to see just how insane things can get. Min-max challenges are the most personable to me, as they are both what got me into creating YouTube content in the first place, plus super relatable to my real life. I feel like I'm in a constant battle struggling to find a balance between realism and perfection, as in my mind I am always striving for perfection, which I know is impossible to obtain. I will always make mistakes or non-optimal decisions and always have people going against me, and I know finding balance is key, but it's just hard. And that's part of the reason I never found motivation to continue my new min-max run, because I know I'll never get it as perfect as I strive for. Balance is key, and Stardew challenge runs have taught me that you don't need to reach absolute perfection in order to accomplish something extraordinary.